Hi, cousins, and welcome back to another episode of the Sunday Reset Podcast. I'm your host, Alicia J, and I'm so glad that you came to spend a few minutes of time to be with me here today. It has been a while, but I see that you're still growing and you're still glowing, and I do love this look on you, but why are you still committing self-sabotage? You're standing in your own way of your own blessings, and we need to stop. So let's talk about it. This weekly scripture is coming from James chapter 1, verses 6 through 8. And this week's episode is simply don't self-sabotage. So let's talk about why we do that and how it manifests in our lives and what we can do to fix it. But the scripture says, "But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown away and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Such a person is double-minded and unstable in all that they do." That's a lot to unpack, and trust me, we will get there. But let's talk about why I even brought this topic up. Like, why is it even relevant? And why do we self-sabotage? Let's get into that. So the reason why we're talking about self-sabotage is that everybody has gone through a phase or is going through a phase where they have committed self-sabotage against themselves. And in this particular instance, I had one of our cousins stop me in real life. We were having a conversation about a role that she was going up for. And she was asking me about interview advice and resume prep and things of that nature. And in the midst of our conversation, she brings a lot of skills, a lot of amazing assets that can really contribute to her success in the role that she was going out for. But one thing that she was doing was self-sabotaging. She was expecting failure. She was comparing herself to other people and ultimately procrastinating from beginning the steps to actually preparing for the next role. I had to talk to her and break it down. Like, you're so busy worried about the people who are running in the lane next to you that you're not even focused on the path that is directly in front of you, knowing that no one can ever enter your lane because it's meant for you. The skills that you have, the attributes that you possess, the confidence that you will carry in that interview will take you to the next step, so it be yours. You know what I'm saying? So I had to sit down and really talk to her about reflecting on how those negative emotions and feelings can really harbor some negative outcomes. So that's why we're talking about it. And I kind of touched on how it kind of manifests in people's lives, but I do want to go a little bit deeper into what that looks like. So here are the 4 common ways that self-sabotage can manifest in your lives. Now, these aren't the only ways, but these are the top 4. First one is procrastination. This is involving the delaying of your task so that you can avoid any discomfort or anxiety of actually starting the task. Number 2 is perfectionism. Perfectionism really puts a freeze on the momentum that you could have had you set obtainable goals. When you set unattainable goals, it really puts negative emotions on you because you feel like you're not good enough. That leads me to number 3, which is negative self-talk. This is your inner critic. I can't do this. I'm not good enough for this. I shouldn't even have this opportunity. And number 4 is overcommitment, taking on too much, knowing that you can't handle it, and causing burnout. So those are the 4 ways. Which one resonated with you the most? Drop a comment down below. But this is a time where I tell you, thank you so much for making it this far in the video, to like, comment, and subscribe, and leave a comment down below on what you would like to see next. But yeah, let me double back to the scripture, because I do want to talk about what the relevance of that scripture is to this episode. And the 3 themes that the scripture brings forth relevant to self-sabotage is doubt and instability, the expectation of failure, and the lack of commitment. And so let me break that down a little bit. So there's a part in the scripture that says, being double-minded and unstable. Well, being double-minded, what does that mean like in the 21st century? You want a job, you apply for the job, but you're telling yourself, I will never get the job. This opportunity will never be presented to me. I'm not good enough for this role. That's double-minded. You have, on one hand, the idea and the thought of wanting that role, but on the other hand, you're expecting failure. So that's being double-minded. And furthermore, that increases the amount of doubt that you have and therefore makes you unstable because you're not taking actions and committing to yourself and committing to your goals that would help you breathe the success and achieve the success that you need and desire. And so therefore you're establishing a line of failure and creating a self-prophecy out of your own mouth, out of your own mind, that it is set in stone that you will never achieve what you're trying to. So, like I said at the beginning of the video, you're standing in your own way of your own blessings. But I know that probably was a little bit of heat for y'all, so let me dial it back and let me tell you how you can kind of positively reinforce good habits in your life and not self-sabotage. So some things that you can do to positively reinforce healthy habits to avoid self-sabotaging is to counteract to what you are currently doing. Let me explain. For instance, if you find yourself having negative self-talk, I want you to take the time to have some compassion. You might want to consider journaling or just speaking out loud those words of affirmations, because you want to kind of negate what you said about yourself negatively. So how that would sound is, I don't think that I'm going to get this role because there is 10 people that are equally, if not more qualified than me. I would say this role is mine to take because I am overqualified in X, Y, and Z. Or if your goal is to be a wife and you say, oh, I'm never going to be a wife because no one can ever appreciate me for who I am, or I don't attract the right people. I would then say, I am going to be a wife one day because I am an awesome person and I am more than enough to be committed to. So you would say something in the opposite, and you would want to speak that in the forefront and be self-aware of when you negative self-talk. So that's what I mean by counteracting your actions that you are doing for self-sabotage. Another one for procrastination and perfectionism is going to be setting accountability for yourself, as well as setting realistic goals. I want to link down below a good article about how to set SMART goals, because that in itself keeps you on track and focus and breaks down your goals into a way that not only tells you the importance, it gives yourself the option to provide yourself with a reasonable deadline, and it creates an affirmative statement that you can use to remind yourself within your timeline of your deadline to stay on track. But if anything else, I think the main theme I wanted to get across with regards to working on reinforcing positive habits for self-sabotage to avoid it in the future is really going to come down to the self-compassion that you need to have for yourself, because you're allowed to make mistakes. You're not going to win every single race that you put forth effort into, but it's important to keep your head held high even when adversity comes your way. But it's the end of my episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next Sunday. Bye.